Scott Robinson here saying welcome back to the Sound of the Month Club here at Sciensonic Laboratories. The world has changed. We're into April now. Things are very different. So this installment of the Sound of the Month Club is going to be a little bit different. Like so many of my colleagues, like all of my colleagues, I am completely unemployed at this point because I don't teach. I'm a performer. All of my tours, recordings, concerts are all canceled, and the world is just shut down in this very scary and weird way. I'm worried about my colleagues who are less fortunate than I am, living gig to gig. I worry about the clubs, the venues where we play, and of course I'm worried about everybody's health. Some of my colleagues have been seriously ill, some have died. But I'm also hopeful. And on the bright side of things, I'm pretty fortunate because my wife is working, teaching online, and I have my house and my laboratory where I can work on music all the time, and I have plenty of projects clamoring for my attention. So I'm out here all the time working with all my instruments, all my musical sounds. And when I'm in here, what's going on out there in the world just disappears. It's really, it's like a temple of music, this place. Very, very important in my life. I'm so glad I have it right now, especially. So this month, since everything is so strange, rather than feature a particular instrument like we've always done, I thought I would just welcome everybody into the lab and just kind of show a little bit of the practicing process and what I'm working on at the moment. That'll be my sound of the month. And this one is not only for members. I'm going to throw this one up on YouTube and put it out to the world as well, since I can't perform for anyone right now. So I encourage anybody who's checking this out for the first time, consider becoming a laboratory member and being a part of the Sound of the Month Club. You see a lot of amazing instruments, a lot of amazing things, and you'll help support our efforts during this difficult time when we have no performance outlets of any kind. So, you know, one of the things that I can do when I'm not working is come out here and practice. I'm usually out here 3 in the morning playing music. And what I've been working on now for some weeks before all this mayhem started, I mean, there's a lot of things I'm working on. I'll come out and I'll do long tones, I'll do technical studies and scales and arpeggios, I do these thematic things, there's a lot of stuff. But the main sort of project I've been working on is this crazy book that Eddie Harris, the great Eddie Harris, one of my favorite all-time tenor players, gave me this book in Copenhagen in 1984. There it is. And I gave him one of my albums. We traded. My first LP, 1984, had just come out. And I got to spend some time with Eddie Harris in Copenhagen. He was performing at the Montmartre Club, and he was recording with my dear friend and pianist Horace Parlan. And Thad Jones was also on that record date, that particular day when Eddie Harris gave me this book. Thad got me thrown out of a bar. He got us both thrown out of a bar. That's a story for another day. So Eddie Harris gave me this book. It's called Jazz Cliché Capers. It's a very odd book. It's the longest run-on sentence in jazz. I don't know if you can see, but it's just basically measure after measure after measure of music. There's no divisions, there's no headings. He just took a million different little ideas and bits and pieces and just strung them all together. 52 pages. And he calls it cliches and licks and things, but it's maybe half that and half bits and pieces of tunes, all kinds of tunes, Charlie Parker tunes, Duke Ellington tunes, Monk, Eddie Harris tunes, little bits and pieces strung together in very quirky and weird ways. It's an odd book and very hard to get through it. Why he did this, I'm not really sure. He talks about, playing these things until they kind of work their way into your playing. And yet what's curious about that is he wasn't that type of player. He was never a lick player. He didn't play regurgitated licks. He didn't do that. He was very creative. He had his own language. And so I don't know what possessed him to do this, but it's been sitting around for a long time. I took a stab at it many, many, many years ago, and I got a few pages through it, and I finally recently said, you know what, I'm going to get that book out and I'm going to practice it every day until I can play everything in it, all 52 pages. So it's a struggle. I'm up to page 48, so I'm near the end. I do a 2-page spread at a time. I'll spend days on just 2 pages like this, and then I'll turn the page. And my hope is, my plan is, when I get to the end, which will be very soon now, I'll go back to the front, work my way through it again faster, and then I want to record the whole thing, just on the tenor, and then maybe later get Matt Wilson out here to play drums and percussion and vibes and have him just blow over the whole thing while I play it. I don't know, I got a few weird ideas about it. It'd be neat to do it all on bass sax. Anyway, I'm not sure why I've become so obsessed with this book, but it's like a challenge, and it's been really good for me in terms of chops and reading and everything. So right now I'm just working on this book every day. I'm on page 48 right now. I'll give you a little sample of this quirky, weird book. On and on and on. That was a little more than a page. So anyway, I'm going to keep practicing, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to, at some point, put this whole thing out in some crazy way. I don't even know. Thanks for being here. Please stay well. Take this situation seriously. Be careful. Keep your distance. Wash your hands. All this kind of stuff so that we can get past this and we can all come together again and be together. I long so much to be with my friends and with all of you playing music again. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time at the Sound of the Month Club. Thank you.